Hi, I have another book to read to you today. It's called The Princess Who Always Ran Away. It's very interesting. There she is. The king's castle stood high, overlooking the wooded hills and roaring sea. The castle had many towers and spacious halls. It had stairs that led up to the highest tower and down to the deepest cellar. Surrounding the castle was a moat, deep and wide. In the castle and on the walls were soldiers and sentries and watchmen who guarded every entry and every exit. The king was a severe master. Everyone had to obey him. The king had 7 daughters who could draw and paint beautifully. They loved to make music, and they did the finest embroidery. These daughters were well behaved, and their clothes were always neat and tidy. They were obedient to their father, all 7 of them. But there was an 8th daughter, the youngest, and she was different, very different. She did not like to wear beautiful clothes, or sit and make music, or do embroidery work. In fact, she didn't like to stay indoors at all. She loved to be outside, to climb trees, and to run about barefoot, or just to lie lazily in the grass and to watch the birds and the butterflies, the snails and the spiders. She wasn't really naughty at heart. She was just different, very different. And that was exactly what the king, her father, did not allow. Whenever she had a chance, the little princess ran away to the woods. When the servants stood for a moment chatting among themselves, or the sentry had to sneeze and close his eyes for a moment, the little princess whisked away and was gone. She knew dozens of hiding places in the woods around the castle. There she would remain for hours or even for days. The king would send his servants and soldiers to look for her, and usually they would find her asleep in the wild and bring her back, and then the king would be angry with her. Get this page. Nah. It doesn't want to turn. One day, the little princess had again been sent to her room without dinner for running away. There she sat thinking how she could escape. Evening came and still she was thinking, and when it was night and the narrow sickle of the moon rose, the princess was still awake. In the palace, nothing stirred. Very softly, the little princess opened the door. Nobody in sight. Careful to make no noise, she went down the long, long staircase, down to the deepest, darkest cellar. There, she knew, was an old, decayed door. She pulled hard, and the door opened. It led to a narrow corridor. At its end, she saw the moon. She was free once again. She jumped and danced, she got herself wet and dirty, and she was happy. And there's the moon that night, how it looked. And the trees. But the guards found her, and this time the king was indeed very, very angry. He shut her in the highest tower. The guard turned the key 7 times in the lock and went away. There she sat all alone. She looked through the bars of her window and wished she could think of a way to get out. Then she had an idea. She took the rugs and her bedspread, the blankets, sheets, and pillowcase, and tied them together. Then followed her dresses, belts, and underwear. It all made a very long rope. She tied the rope to the bars, squeezed through them, and slid down the rope from the high tower window to the moat far below. She swam across the moat and went straight to her most secret hiding place. There she stayed for 3 days and 3 nights, feeding on blackberries. But on the 4th day, when she was trying to pick wild apples, she was caught. This time, the king was so furious that he decided to teach his daughter a lesson. He ordered a huge ball to be made. Lock the princess inside, he ordered. Do you want to take any food? Asked her father. No, said the princess. Do you want to take your bed? No. Do you want your toys and dolls? No. Then what do you want to take with you? Nothing. But hidden under her skirts, she had a pair of scissors, a dagger, and an axe. There's the big ball. On a wagon drawn by 4 strong horses, the ball was taken to the sea, and an anchor was attached to it. Pulled down by the heavy chain, it reached the bottom of the sea. And there it is, the ball at the bottom of the sea. And there's the chain. The next morning, it was very hazy. A fisherman was hauling in his net, but the net caught in the anchor chain, and the fisherman had great difficulty pulling it up. The ball floated to the surface, and the fisherman towed it with great labor to his hut, which was some distance away. And there's the fisherman. The king was sure his daughter had learned her lesson by now, so next day he sent his servants to retrieve the ball. But the servants could not find the ball or the chain or the anchor, and went back to the king very sadly, for in their hearts they all liked the little princess. There's the ball when the fisherman got it. In the ball, the princess had felt the shaking of the wagon when it was taken to the sea. She had heard the lapping of the waves when the ball was thrown in. She had noticed the dead silence when the ball rested on the bottom of the sea. Now there was movement again and the lapping of waves. She heard the voice of the fisherman talking to himself as lonely people do. "I may be free yet," she cried. She took the scissors and tried to open the seams, but it was no good. Then she grasped the dagger and thrust it to the sides with all her force, but the ball was too strongly made. Finally, she took the axe and swung it. Soon she managed to make a hole large enough to squeeze out. And there she is, banging on the ball, trying to open it up. Meantime, the fisherman got more and more frightened of the miraculous ball he had brought ashore. He noticed a terrible dragon painted on the side of the ball with a wicked eye and sharp teeth. When he heard the noise of the axe, he thought it was the dragon threatening him. "Keep quiet," he shouted, "or I will throw you back into the sea." Just at that moment, the little princess tumbled out. There she is coming out of the ball. The little princess laughed when she heard the fisherman. "No," she said, "you needn't throw me back. I am free now to go where I like, to dance in the woods and to sleep in the wild." She smiled at the fisherman, who was a nice-looking fisherman. Then she gave him just one little kiss. And ran away. Nobody has ever seen her again. But if you are out in the woods and you meet a barefoot little girl in a torn dress, singing and laughing at the birds, that might be her. And that's the end of the story. The woods with the flowers. I hope you liked that story. Okay, well, I'll see you again soon, I hope. Bye-bye, I love you.